There was a man's watch in our freezer. Let that sink in. Not on the counter. Not by the sink. In the freezer. Wedged between a bag of frozen mango and a box of garlic knots I'd been saving since New Year's. It was silver. Fancy. The kind with a little skeleton gear thing ticking in the middle. Not mine. Definitely not mine. I wear one of those rubbery sports watches I bought for $20 at the gas station. I found it while digging for ice cream at 2 a.m. because I couldn't sleep. She had gotten home 2 hours earlier from her mandatory corporate party, barely mumbled a good night, and went straight to bed wearing makeup, which she never does. Red lipstick still perfect. Like she hadn't even eaten or drank a thing. Like she was in a rush. Or hiding something. And now I'm standing in my boxers, staring at a stranger's watch on top of my frozen mango like it's some cursed artifact. I don't know what's worse, the fact that it's here, or the fact that part of me is actually relieved. Relieved that there's finally something tangible. Something I can point to and say, see? I'm not crazy. Because lately, she's been different. Not cruel. Not distant. Just off. Like she's rehearsing her lines around me. Like she's living in two versions of herself, and I only get the watered-down version. So I took the watch, wrapped it in a paper towel, and shoved it in the bottom drawer of my desk. That's where I hide the things I'm too afraid to confront. The worst part? I didn't even ask her about it. Because I already know. Something happened at that party. And tomorrow, I'm going to pretend I never opened the freezer. I barely slept that night. I laid there, staring at the ceiling fan, counting each slow rotation like it might distract me from the storm of questions ripping through my head. But nothing drowned out the image of that watch, the way it glinted under the freezer light, just lying there like it belonged. I tried to rationalize. Maybe it was her coworkers? Maybe someone played a prank? But who the hell pranks someone by stuffing a $1,000 timepiece next to frozen vegetables? And why in our freezer? By the time the sun bled through the curtains, I'd already convinced myself to say something. Something subtle. Casual. I wouldn't accuse her. No, that wasn't me. I wasn't bold like that. I was the guy who let his wife take the last slice of pizza even though I hadn't eaten all day. I was the guy who said, it's fine, even when it definitely wasn't. But this time I needed answers. She walked into the kitchen in her robe, hair still in that perfect bun from last night. No makeup, no jewelry, no sign of the woman who had come home in a day's hours earlier. She opened the fridge like nothing was wrong, like we were just another couple on another quiet morning. I watched her pour oat milk into a glass like it was the most fascinating thing on earth. My voice cracked when I finally asked, "Did you have fun last night?" She didn't look up. It was fine. Long lot of small talk. You know how it is. No, I didn't know how it was. I've never been to a party where I come home and accidentally leave another man's luxury watch in the freezer. So, anyone lose anything at the party? I tried to sound breezy, like I wasn't on the verge of passing out. She finally looked at me. Not suspiciously, not nervously. Just blankly. What do you mean? Like, I don't know. Something valuable? She blinked. Tilted her head. No? Why? And there it was again. That pause before she answers. That flicker in her eyes like she's recalculating her script. My stomach turned. I nodded like I believed her, but something in me twisted. She went upstairs to shower, humming again. That same damn melody she hummed the night before. I tried to place it. It wasn't a tune I recognized. Not a commercial jingle or pop song. It was slow, eerie, almost hypnotic. And she hummed it like it was stuck in her bones. While the water ran, I tiptoed back to my desk, pulled the drawer open. The watch was still there. But this time, I noticed something else. There were initials engraved on the underside, D.M. I didn't know anyone in her life with those initials. Not her boss, not her coworkers, not even her college friends. And that's when I realized, she never told me the name of the new guy who joined her department last week. The one she mentioned once, briefly, in passing, with a weird smile and a flushed face. I searched her phone that afternoon while she napped on the couch. There was no DM in her contacts, but in her recently deleted photos, buried under screenshots of Pinterest recipes and memes, there was one picture that stopped my heart cold. A mirror selfie, taken in what looked like a hotel bathroom. She was in a black dress I'd never seen before, and someone's hand was around her waist. I stared at the photo for a solid 10 minutes, zooming in like that would change what I already knew. Her eyes were half-lidded, lips slightly parted in a smile I hadn't seen in months. That soft, secret kind of smile. And the hand, it wasn't grabbing her like a joke or holding her like a friend. It was claiming her, palm on her hip, fingers curling in a way that said this wasn't the first time. I should have confronted her right then, shaken her awake, demanded an explanation. But I didn't. Instead, I saved the photo, walked into the guest room, locked the door, and sat there until my hands stopped shaking. Then I did something weak, something pathetic. I texted her the photo from my number with a single question beneath it. Who's the hand? I watched through the crack of the guest room door as her phone buzzed on the coffee table. She was still asleep, curled up like a child under the blanket, face buried into a pillow like she had nothing to answer for. The chime woke her. She stirred, groaned, reached for the phone lazily. I expected panic, guilt, maybe even tears. Instead, she stared at the screen for a moment, then locked it again and placed it face down. That was it. No gasp, no reply, not even a frown. She saw the photo and just moved on. I sat there in silence, my mouth dry, my heart pounding like I'd just committed a crime. Eventually, curiosity, or maybe desperation, dragged me out. I walked into the living room, acting like I'd just woken up too. She looked up from her coffee and said, "Morning," like I hadn't just sent her the smoking gun of our crumbling marriage. I stood there, arms crossed, pulse in my ears. "Did you check your phone?" "Yeah," she said, sipping. "Why?" My throat tightened. "I sent you a picture." "Oh," she said, tilting her head. That. She said it like I'd sent her a grocery list, not a picture of her being groped by a stranger in a bathroom. Care to explain? She paused for a moment. Not guilty, not defensive, just tired. She set the mug down and leaned back into the couch. "That photo was a joke," she said. "We were all drinking. It was a dare. Someone said we had to take the cheesiest couple shot with a random coworker. That's it. It meant nothing." My mouth opened, then closed. "So why delete it?" She shrugged. "Because I knew how you'd react. Exactly like this." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Somehow her deception had become my fault. Her eyes scanned my face, not pleading, not angry, just cold. "Practiced. Do you really think I'd cheat on you over some stupid party?" she asked, like she was offended I even asked. I looked down, ashamed for being unsure. I wanted to believe her so badly. I needed to. But the watch, the lipstick, the humming, the frozen mango, it all stacked like bricks on my chest. "Fine," I said, voice cracking. "Then what about the watch?" She blinked. "What watch?" "The one in the freezer, Madison. The one that says DM on the back." For the first time, her expression shifted, just a flicker, a tiny glitch in her face. Then, just as fast, it smoothed over again. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said. "You're spiraling. Again." And that last word, again, landed like a punch. Because she was right. This wasn't the first time I'd doubted her. Not even the fifth. There'd been whispers before. Nights she came home late. Excuses that felt too rehearsed. Perfume that changed without warning. But I never had proof. Only instincts. And she always knew how to flip it. How to make me feel like the paranoid one. Maybe I am. Maybe I've been slowly losing my mind inside this marriage, waiting for something to snap. But this time, I have the photo. I have the watch. And if she won't admit the truth, then I'll dig it out myself. The next morning, she kissed me on the forehead like nothing had happened. Like we hadn't stood in that living room playing emotional chess over a stranger's hand around her waist. Like she hadn't gaslit me into thinking I was the one unraveling. She went off to brunch with the girls, wearing a denim jacket she only wore when she wanted to seem casual, but still noticeable. The second I heard her car pull out of the driveway, I stood frozen in the kitchen, mug in hand, fingers shaking against ceramic. I didn't want to do what I was about to do. I'm not that guy. I never wanted to be that guy. The one who snoops, who checks messages, who digs. But I realized something that morning. She'd made me into that guy a long time ago. I just hadn't caught up to myself yet. So I walked upstairs, sat on the edge of our bed, and stared at her laptop. It was sitting there on the nightstand, half open, like an invitation. A silver portal to the version of her I didn't know. I clicked it open, screen lighting up like a spotlight on my guilt. The wallpaper was a photo of us, taken 2 years ago, on a road trip to Asheville. Back when she used to laugh at my stupid jokes. Back when I didn't question everything. The login box blinked at me. I typed in her usual password, the name of our cat, plus her birth year. Nothing. Tried her mom's name, her middle name, my name. All wrong. I stared at the screen like it had insulted me personally. Then I noticed the tiny button in the corner. Hint. I clicked it. It said, where we first met. But here's the thing. She and I didn't meet in one place. We matched online. Our first date was at a bookstore, but we didn't meet there by chance. There was no place. It was all planned. So what did she mean? Suddenly, it hit me. A few months ago, she mentioned in passing that she'd first seen me, before we ever matched, at a coffee shop she used to go to for work. I thought it was cute, how she'd remembered the shirt I wore, how she thought I looked serious in a soft way. I didn't even know she existed then. I typed the name of the shop, all lowercase, no spaces. Access granted. My heart skipped. And then, a loading bar. The desktop booted up. Folders everywhere. Project work, PDFs, screenshots, vacations. But one folder stood out. It was buried 3 subfolders deep, inside a directory labeled Archives, under a subfolder named Q4 Expenses. As if it were hiding in plain sight. The folder was called Caleb. We don't know any Caleb. Inside were hundreds of messages. Screenshots of text conversations. Hotel confirmations. Even photos. Some were innocent. Coffee cups, blurry street shots, smiles from across tables. Others were not. But what froze my blood wasn't the content. It was the timeline. It started 5 months ago, but it hadn't stopped. The most recent message was from this morning. A simple photo of a plate of waffles and a caption that read, "Wish you were eating these with me instead." My stomach turned. I clicked to see the timestamp. 8:42 a.m. She had sent it while sitting across from her friends at brunch. While smiling. While wearing that denim jacket. While I was sitting at home convincing myself I was crazy. And then, the final blow. An unread draft, clearly typed and never sent. Sitting there in the message app, blinking like it was waiting for me. I'll tell him soon. I promise. He's starting to suspect. Last night was close. Last night. Me. The photo. The watch. She knew. She knew I knew. But she still kissed me on the forehead this morning like I was some sweet little idiot who didn't have the guts to dig deeper. She was right. Until now. I didn't scream. I didn't call her. I didn't throw her laptop across the room like every angry husband on Reddit says they would've. No. I just sat there, staring at that draft message, the cursor blinking like it was tapping on my forehead, reminding me I was the last to know. Again. It was almost impressive how flawlessly she'd lived 2 lives. The careful timing. The different passwords. The well-placed lies disguised as forgettable details. I'll be home late. We're doing after drinks. I need to head into the office Saturday. Something broke in QA. I might not have service there. It's kind of out in the woods. That one hit me hardest. I used to worry when she didn't text back. Like physically ache. I'd sit there staring at my phone, refreshing her messages, praying she wasn't in a ditch or mugged or worse. But now I realize she was just busy. Busy drinking mimosas with Caleb or tangled in some hotel sheet pretending we never existed. I closed the laptop gently. Too gently. Like if I broke it, I'd lose the last piece of evidence keeping me tethered to the truth. I didn't even want to look at myself in the mirror. I already knew what I'd see, some sad, defeated guy with circles under his eyes and a marriage-sized hole in his chest. But I didn't confront her. No, I did something worse. I decided to wait. I decided to pretend I didn't know. Why? Because I wanted to see how far she'd go. How long she could look me in the eye and lie with those same lips that used to whisper "I love yous" into the crook of my neck. I needed to see if she'd still kiss me goodnight, still ask me what I wanted for dinner, still tell me she loved me with Caleb's scent probably still on her skin. So I cleaned the kitchen, tidied the house, put her laptop back in the exact spot. And when she walked in later that afternoon, humming that goddamn tune again, I greeted her with a smile. "Hey," I said. "How was brunch?" She froze for a half-second. Not visibly, just a subtle pause, like she had to scroll through the script in her mind. "It was good," she said. "Mel's pregnant. Finally told us." I nodded. "That's great news." She raised an eyebrow. "You okay?" I smiled wider. "Yeah, I just missed you." She smiled back, kissed my cheek, told me she'd be in the shower, said something about starting laundry, and the moment she disappeared down the hallway, I opened her phone again. I'd memorized her unlock pattern by now. 5 minutes later, there it was. Another draft. This one shorter. Tonight. Nothing else. No name. No confirmation. Just that. A simple, Loaded word that dropped like a stone in my stomach. I should have panicked. I should have done something. But instead, I felt strangely calm. Like I was finally in the driver's seat for the first time in months. I deleted the draft. Then I texted him back. Can't. Something came up. We'll explain later. I stared at it for a moment and hit send. I told myself I did it to buy time. But the truth? I just wanted to ruin his night. One drop at a time. Over the next few days, I became someone else entirely. The perfect husband. I made breakfast. I folded laundry. I asked about her coworkers and pretended to care about her stories. I even faked a laugh when she told a joke I'd heard 3 times before. She started calling me sweet again. Said she appreciated how I'd been more present lately. The irony almost choked me. But this wasn't kindness. This was a chess game. She didn't know I'd seen everything. She didn't know I had all her texts to Caleb backed up. She didn't know I'd scrolled through his Instagram, found his company, his car, his face. She didn't know I'd tracked their hotel reservations by searching her emails for booking confirmations buried in spam. And still, I did nothing. I let her lie. Because I needed to understand how far she'd go. If she'd slip. If she'd confess. If she had any guilt left. But instead, she blossomed under my fake affection. Became lighter. Giddier. She even started baking again. Little chocolate chip cookies she used to make when we first moved in. She left sticky notes on the fridge. Love you, yellow heart, scribbled in pink ink. It was horrifying, because I knew none of it was for me. She was love drunk, not on us, but on the thrill of getting away with it. Of playing both sides like a goddess of deception in yoga pants. But then, on Thursday night, something shifted. She came home late. Really late. Almost 1 a.m. I was sitting on the couch in the dark, pretending to doze off with a blanket over me, watching the hallway through half-lidded eyes. She tiptoed in like a teenager. Quiet, cautious, holding her heels in her hand. I heard her pause when she noticed me. She stood there for a moment, breathing shallow, waiting to see if I'd stir. I didn't. And then, she crept into the kitchen. I listened to the fridge open. Plastic wrap. Glass clink. Maybe wine. Then, the soft metallic clink of something sliding into the freezer. My pulse stopped. I waited 10 seconds after she walked away before I moved. Quiet as fog, I stepped into the kitchen, heart hammering so loud I thought it would give me away. I opened the freezer. Another one. A different watch. Not the first one. This one had a leather band and a cracked dial. It looked cheaper. Like something you'd leave behind on purpose. What the hell was this? A ritual? Was she keeping trophies? Or was she planting traps, testing to see if I'd find them? Was this some kind of mind game? My stomach turned. My head swam. I stood there gripping the cold shelf, staring at that stupid watch like it held answers. But there were none. Only more questions. That night, I sat at my desk, both watches side by side. Silver and sleek. Brown and worn. D.M.L.T. 2 sets of initials. 2 men. 2 lies. How many more? I didn't sleep. I barely breathed. I just stared at the door, waiting for it to open. I didn't know what I'd do if it did. But I knew one thing. I wasn't going to be the one who broke this time. I was going to be the one who ended it. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't even confront her about the second watch. I just took a photo of it, closed the freezer like I'd never opened it, and went about my day. But something shifted in me after that night. Not rage, not sadness, but clarity. She'd chosen lies over honesty. Fantasy over reality. Mystery over me. And I was done trying to win her back. I didn't want to fix things anymore. I didn't want closure. I wanted her to unravel, the same way I had, night after night, lie after lie. So I started leaving clues. Just not the ones she expected. I began small. Subtle. I left her phone unlocked one morning. Just barely. Enough to seem like maybe she'd forgotten to close it. I didn't go through it this time. I just let it sit there on the kitchen table while she made her coffee. I saw her glance at it. The way her eyes flicked down nervously like it might have spilled its secrets. She didn't say anything. Just sipped and smiled. But her fingers trembled slightly as she stirred her mug. Next day, I moved the first watch. Not far. Just from the desk drawer to her jewelry box. She didn't find it right away. Not until later that evening, when she was getting ready for some work dinner she didn't invite me to. I watched her from the hallway mirror as she opened the box, paused, and stared down. She didn't gasp. She didn't call out. But I saw it. The freeze. The flicker of panic. She closed the lid slowly, like it might explode if she moved too fast. Then she stepped away like nothing happened. But I knew. She was rattled. The day after that, I opened her laptop and changed her desktop wallpaper. Just a plain black screen with one sentence in white text. Does he know? No sender. No signature. Just the question. She booted it up during breakfast while I was right there, reading the paper. I watched her face the second the screen lit up. She didn't scream. She didn't speak. She just shut the lid. She stared at me for a long time after that, but said nothing. I smiled gently, like a clueless fool. That night, I found her sitting on the edge of the bed, phone in hand, texting someone, but quickly deleting the messages after typing them. Like she couldn't figure out what to say, who to trust, what to believe. Good. Let her feel the doubt for once. Let her wonder if I was the one cheating, or if I'd finally grown a spine, or if the whole house was watching her, tracking her, judging her. She started hesitating before she left the house, fixing her hair twice, rechecking her pockets, looking over her shoulder more. She'd pause at the front door like she forgot something, then come back in, check the bedroom, the desk, the mirror. I said nothing, just smiled. And then, yesterday, I made my first real move. I mailed something. An envelope. Unmarked. No return address. Inside, one photo. A printout of that hotel bathroom selfie. The one with the hand around her waist. I mailed it to her office. Not to her. To her boss. I don't know if he'll see it. I don't even know if he'll care. But it wasn't about that. It was about her checking the mailroom and seeing that envelope. It was about the fire I knew it would light in her chest. The panic. The spiral. The desperate flurry of questions. Who sent it? Who knows? What comes next? She came home tonight quiet. Too quiet. She kissed me, again, on the forehead, and said she had a headache. Said she was going to bed early. I nodded. Need anything? I asked. She shook her head. Everything okay at work? A pause. She looked me in the eye, and for the first time in weeks, I saw fear. Yeah, just a weird day. I smiled gently. Don't worry, I said, walking past her. I'm sure everything will come out eventually. She froze. Just for a moment. But long enough to tell me it was working. It all came to a head on a Sunday morning. She was in the kitchen pretending to scroll Instagram, but I knew she wasn't looking at pictures. Her thumb hadn't moved in 5 minutes. Her coffee had gone cold. The air was tight with unspoken things, the kind you can't take back once you let them out. I set down my own mug, cleared my throat. We should talk. Her eyes met mine, wide and glassy. No games. No faking. Just scared. Not of me. Of what I knew. Of how much. Okay, she said. Just that. No fight. No excuses. So we sat on the couch, and I did something I hadn't done in months, maybe years. I told the truth. I told her about the watch. Both of them. The photos. The texts. The fake wallpaper. The deleted messages I recovered. The envelope I sent. I told her I knew about Caleb. And Logan. And maybe whoever else was hiding behind a pair of initials and a private WhatsApp thread. She didn't interrupt. Didn't cry. Didn't scream. She just listened. When I finished, I expected rage. Denial. Maybe even a final desperate lie. But instead, she whispered, I thought I could fix it before you found out. I thought I could end it, and we'd go back to us. I laughed bitterly. You buried watches in the freezer, Madison. You don't do that if you want to fix something. You do that if you're trying to erase it. She looked down at her hands, twisting her wedding ring around her finger like it was burning her. I didn't mean to fall out of love with you, she said. That hurt more than any photo, more than any lie. It wasn't rage. It wasn't lust. It was slow erosion, quiet indifference. She'd stopped choosing me and never had the courage to say it out loud. I nodded, and then I did the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I let her go. No revenge. No blow up. No shouting match to make her cry. Just release. I stood up, walked to the bedroom, and began packing a bag. Not to punish her. Not to escape. But to start again. With myself. I left the watches behind on the kitchen table. No note. No explanation. Just symbols of everything she tried to hide and everything I no longer needed. She stood in the doorway as I zipped up my bag. Her eyes were full of tears, but her mouth didn't beg. Maybe because, deep down, she knew this was mercy. You don't hate me? She asked, voice cracking. I looked at her, really looked, and for the first time, I saw her not as a villain, but as a person who'd broken something beautiful and hadn't known how to admit it. No, I said quietly, but I can't live in pieces anymore. I left that day, found a small apartment on the edge of town. Started going on walks again. Started cooking for myself. I even signed up for therapy because I needed to know why I'd let myself disappear inside someone else's silence for so long. It wasn't easy. Some nights, I still woke up reaching for a person who wasn't there. But slowly, something shifted. I began writing again. Reading. Laughing. The kind of laughter that doesn't feel like a mask. And one day, I caught myself humming in the kitchen. A tune I didn't recognize. And for the first time in a long time, it was mine.